Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Wonderful. What's up, buddy? What's going on?
How are you?
Hello, Leo. How are you, big guy?
I'm
Like,
doing
I'm
good.
good.
And very cold today, though.
Yeah, it's not warm out.
No.
What's going on with him?
So, I think today we're here, well, we were supposed to be practicing getting in the car because he doesn't jump into the car, but it's a little cold.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we do.
All right.
He doesn't drop anything, so like when we're playing, he doesn't know drop it. Want to work on that. I also want to review with you when he's off leash, how that comeback is supposed to happen, because I think within our family we're all doing it a little bit differently.
Okay.
And so I want to review with you how that's supposed to happen.
Sure.
So once he goes off leash, it's okay, and then what happens after that?
Yeah. Okay.
Because actually I don't think we ever really covered that with Krista either. Leo said. And that really is it. Getting in the car is a big one, because before his surgery, we thought it was just him not wanting to get in the car because he couldn't jump, but he still will not do it. Sit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let me grab my coat real quick. We'll see if we can take a look at the car real quick first.
Okay.
And kind of go from there.
Okay. Up. Yeah, so he'll get to that.
Yeah.
And then he wants to be lifted in.
Okay.
So, I mean, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, he...
All
Leo,
right.
sit.
All right, let me see the leash here.
We've done, we've tried, here's this clicker.
I don't need that for this.
Okay.
Come on, buddy. What were you going to say? What have you tried?
Tried, like, doing a running start.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Sure. Come here, bud. Good. So here's the thing, right? Like, now I'm not saying we fix this right away, but a lot of times it comes down to the mentality of it, I see, right? So even though we may be getting a running start and like doing all these other things and stuff like that, unless we in our mind when we go to do it are like, we're getting you in here right now, bud. Like, we're gonna not only get that running start, but I got that leash pressure going, the momentum's going, there's no option for you basically to not do it. A lot of times they will still resort to like kind of just half doing it, you know? Come here, bud, let's go. Good job. So we'll try this one more time here. So same deal, as I'm approaching the car, leash pressure is already gonna be going forward, and I'm essentially gonna be kind of pulling him into the car as I'm going, right? Come on, bud. There you go, buddy. Good job. You know.
Don't knock your knee out, okay?
A little.
We don't want to get it fixed again.
Gonna be a little clumsy with it initially, since he's obviously not used to doing it. But good job, bud. There you go. And then from there, once you get him doing it successfully, you know, I don't know how food motivated he is and stuff, but you could add a reward in if you wanted to, obviously.
Oh,
good
crap,
job,
I forgot
bud.
treats.
That's okay.
I forgot his food.
Is he pretty food motivated?
He can be, yes.
He can be, or he is?
He is.
Yeah.
There are times, like when we were doing the training with Krista, that he stopped accepting the food.
Yeah.
But
Come on, bud.
I mean, normally,
Let's go. Good job. All right, so I want to see you give this a go.
Okay.
Again, mentality here, we're getting him in there.
All right. Leo, come.
Well, hang on. Before you start that, let's set ourselves up for success here. So we're gonna start right about over here, get him on whichever side you want him to be on. I would probably say, whichever one he's more comfortable with. I don't care, obviously. And then, and forget all the sits and stuff right now. Sit isn't gonna help us here. So just get him moving, use that leash pressure as you're moving up to the car, and then just get him on in there. Yeah, so see how there was no commitment to that. Let's try again. Let's bring him back over this way. So here's what you did right there. You went, I'm going, then we're not going, right? So I want you to keep that intent. We're going, zoop, we're getting in, right?
All right. Maybe we'll try you then. All right. How about that? Okay.
Same deal. No commitment there.
I'm afraid I'm going to fall.
Yeah.
That's the bigger problem. All right.
Still, you're releasing all. Let me try one more time here with him, right? You're releasing all your pressure when you're going up. You're going up and you're going do this, right? Which is why he's only going halfway. Come on, bud.
Okay.
You know what? Let me try something here.
Okay.
Yeah, because even on a lower one, he's trying a little bit more so. Come on, bud. There you go. Good job, right? So I'm going to try to do this a couple times with him here. Let's go. Come on. He's like, let me check everything out in here. He's like, I see that bag of food over there. Come on, bud. Good, there you go. Come on.
Focus, buddy.
Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Good. Obviously, understandably so, but unfortunately, because he's got like a history of kind of getting away with not doing this, you could tell how like insecure he is about it,
Yeah.
And again, we know he could do it. This isn't a physical limitation issue.
Right.
He's just kind of learned, for whatever reason, come on, bud. There you go.
Good job, Leo.
That it's like scary to do so, Come on, bud. And that he'll get that assistance.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's go.
And it is helpful because this is a little bit lower.
A little bit, It at least helps where, if he doesn't get that jump right off the rip, There you go. And that's what I want to do here is I want to start patterning in, not just putting the 2 feet on, then climbing himself over, because he's not going to be able to do that in that. He needs to actually jump. Come on, bud. We actually have to start patterning the jump in.
And I get it before his surgery.
Sure.
He may have.
Yeah. Come on, bud. Let's go. There we go.
All right, that's good.
Come on, buddy. Let's go.
It's just going to take a lot of practice. There you go.
Come on, bud. There you go, buddy. Good job. So I'm going to do a couple more of those here. Come on, bud.
So no command, no anything, just leash pressure, and he knows.
Command isn't going to do you any good here, right? There's nothing to put a command to. He needs to just understand he's got to physically get in.
Yeah.
Come here, bud. Let's go. Try 2 more of those.
Just practice. Okay.
Come on. Good job.
All right, good job, Leo.
Try 1 more. Come on, buddy. Good job. Come here, bud. All right, so I'm gonna try this one more time here. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Oh, bud. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come here. Good. Come on.
Maybe it just is too high for him.
It's not.
No?
No, he could do it. Come on, buddy. Good. We know, I mean, again, we know he can do it. The problem is it's just so patterned in not doing it.
Just
right?
practice. Okay.
Good job, bud. Come on, let's go. There you go. Now, sometimes kind of alternating back and forth between something a little bit lower and a little bit higher initially. Good job. Can at least, I'm just going to pop this off for a minute here. Come on, bud.
Might be a little bit.
Sure. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Let's go. Nice. There we go. So I'm going to try one more here. Good job, bud. Let's go. Good. Good job. There we go. Let's go. You know, we see this a lot with dogs with like stairs or things like that, where like from a young age, for whatever reason, whether they slipped or this or that, they get really scared of them and then just won't go up or down them. And this is what it kind of comes down to, is you have to take away the option of not doing it, you know? Come on. Yeah, and then, you know, little by little, come on, bud. It'll boost his confidence that he could actually do it. Like, that looked great. So we're done with that for now. Come on, bud. So that's how I would do this. Find something a little bit shorter to start. Get him really good with that. And then start kind of alternating back and forth. And then when you go to do this, though, you have to commit to just do it. You know what I mean? All right. Sorry, what was the next thing on the list here?
Drop it is, well, drop it, and then I want to talk about in practice how we should do and come.
Sure.
When we're off leash, because I think everybody's doing it a little bit differently.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I need to and we actually didn't get to that part with Krista.
So here's the thing. So as far as drop is concerned, there's not a whole lot we're going to do right now that's going to be able to formally teach that. You kind of have two ways to teach your drop, right? So what sorts of things are you trying to get him to drop?
Even playing like a ball.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't play fetch like a regular dog. He wants you to take the ball out of his mouth, wrestle with him a little
So he's
bit.
into like tugging and stuff?
Yeah, and that's fine for the boys. The boys will go into his mouth. I will not go into his mouth.
Yeah, sure.
The ball out.
Yeah.
So we have a house where I can throw the ball across the house.
Sure.
And he gets lots of nice exercise.
Yeah. Is he into chasing it? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He's just not into giving it up once he gets...
Yep. So you have two ways to do it. With a ball, it's very, very difficult to do the first way. So if he's into tugging and stuff, I usually recommend doing this with like a rope or whatever, something, right? Most of the time, the reason why dogs don't give things up is because the game typically will end, or the fun ends when they give it up, right? That's kind of their psychology as far as why they're doing so, right? Because frankly, a lot of people, even if they're going to keep playing the game, they'll get the dog to drop it, then they'll make the dog do 9,000 things before they go to give it back, right? So it's less fun for them. So what we do is we teach basically that until they let it go, the game ends, and the second they let it go, the game starts again. So if I had a tug, for example, and I were playing with him, and I wanted him to drop it, what I would do is I would tell him drop it or out or whatever word you want to use, obviously. From there, instead of still tugging and stuff, you literally hold it as still as possible, right? And you just wait. And the fun is not, you know, the game's boring now, right? There's nothing in it for him. And you wait. And the second his mouth comes off of it, you tell him yes or okay or whatever, and then you start playing again. right? And you repeat that process until they start letting go of it faster and faster and faster, right? That's the traditional way of teaching drop it with, say, like sport dogs or competition dogs or things like that, right? What were you gonna say? Sorry.
One of the things with him is if he drops it, that's part of his game.
Sure.
Is to see who can get to it faster, you or him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's kind of the problem with doing it with the ball. Let's say he had a ball and we told him drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. And finally he dropped it and we went to go grab it, right? That's taking it away. That's kind of the mentality like we were talking about, which is why I do it with something that I have control over, which is why you can't really do this with a ball, you know, unless I had that ball literally in my hand, right? Because technically speaking, if I were doing it that way, if that were the mentality, and he let it go, I wouldn't try to grab it. I would just tell him okay and let him start playing with it again. You know what I mean? But again, that's why it's difficult doing it that way. So I would recommend doing it with a tug or something like that in that situation. Second way of doing it, and this is kind of like the it's kind of the lazy man's way of doing it. It's not gonna hurt anything, obviously, but you know, this is usually, if I have clients tell me like this is a problem, this is usually how I have them work on this. Low level correction on the e-collar, like super low, right? Just enough to kind of annoy him and get him to drop that ball. And then the second he drops it, same deal, let the game start again kind of thing, right? So a slight consequence for not dropping it, you know? And if you're gonna go about doing it that way, again, you're not gonna long-term hurt anything, but you know, kind of expect that maybe the first couple times that you go to do it, he may lose interest in it right after. He's like, well, this isn't fun anymore, you know? But what'll happen is he'll get quicker with dropping it because he realizes he has to, and then over time, the game will become fun and he knows he has to drop it still. You know?
So if we do like with the tug, he's got a tug, we're playing, and now I want him to drop it. I use any commands?
All you do is you say drop, and then you just hold it as still as possible, and you just wait, right? And he'll probably try to still pull on it and stuff. You just try your hardest to hold it still, right? And the second his mouth comes off of it, again, give it right back to him, right? And then as he gets smoother with let's go, gets it, let's go, gets it, right? Then you have him let go and wait a couple seconds, then get it, let go, wait a couple seconds, then get it, you know? And you just kind of build on it that way. And here's the thing, right? Like, I mean, it's a very effective way of doing it if you're consistent about it. You just have to be careful about, again, the toy you're using for it, because some of them are harder to do it with than others.
Because, the tug you have total control over.
Yes.
And, all right, so, and then how do you graduate from the tug to the ball?
You have to wait until he's like 100% consistent with releasing that. Then you would, same deal, just transition to it. It's the same concept, right? Then you just use it, right?
And you should drop it,
and here's the thing, you know, like at some point you're gonna have to give a correction regardless for not dropping it, obviously. But the more you kind of work through that process, usually the less you have to do it, you know, because he understands it more clearly. So. So that would be, as far as the dropping and stuff, that's how I would start working on that. And like I said, if you just want to just add that little e-collar correction in, it's not going to hurt anything. It's fine. You know, I have a dog that I sent home yesterday. It's a big Mastiff, right? And like he's like obsessed with the toys in the house and doesn't let him go and stuff like that. I just told him, just correct him for it. You know, it's like, it's not worth it at that point to like screw around with like trying to stabilize this giant dog that's like ripping this thing out of your hand, you know? So. Okay, cool. And then common command stuff. So you said you feel like everybody's on different pages with how they're doing it.
Because
how do you think everybody is kind of doing it?
There in terms of the training. So
what is everybody currently doing?
When he goes to the park, we let him off leash, and what should be happening, right, is that he sits and then say okay, and he can go off and wander. Now, when he's with me, he can wander, but close by. Not like from here to there. He can be a little bit behind me, you know, but not like way behind. And my son just lets him like
just go,
run off and go, and you know he goes. My husband is probably like in the middle. You know, he can go exploring, and I think all of those are okay, except for what we do when we use the come command. So we tell him, okay, you can go off and play now, however he wants to play. But then when we say, like, how closely, when he's in that okay, he's allowed to go, but he needs to listen to us when we say come. And so what does that mean when we say come off leash? What should the expectation be that he should be doing at that point? Coming and sitting down, coming and walking with us. What is the next thing that happens there? Because right now, like my husband uses come, like if he's too far behind, he'll be like, okay, come, and then he just lets him run back up ahead.
Yes.
But I thought okay was for that.
Sure.
So it may just be that I'm confused about how
I understand. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I would say none of what any of you guys are doing is like inherently bad or incorrect or gonna like confuse him too much or anything, right? So we have to define our terms, like and that's kind of the root of this issue, right? So okay means you are free, period, right? So like I think you said your son just lets him rip, like once he lets him off and stuff like that. If he told him okay, that's fine, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with that by any means, you know? If you want to enforce a little bit tighter of a perimeter, that's fine, as long as you're using your come command to kind of shape that, right? So like for example, right, so I do a lot of off-leash hiking with my dogs. I like doing it in the winter and stuff like that. And I would say that I enforce like let's just say 40 to 50 foot like radius around me, you know, when we're off-leash hiking. And how I do that is through use of the come command at that boundary. So let's say my boundary was like here to that wall, right? What I would do is not correct them when they hit that boundary, because I don't really, you know, like that's not, they're free, you know what I mean? Like they're literally free, right?
They don't know it's 40 feet.
Yeah, but every time I see them hit that point, I call them back to me for a second, then release them again. And what winds up happening is right about when they hit that general boundary that I'm trying to enforce, they start just kind of checking, they're like, you're gonna call me in a minute, aren't you, right? And then once I start seeing that, I don't worry about calling them, you know, because they're kind of getting it. And if I start seeing them get too loose again, I do a couple more come commands, right? And that's how I enforce a perimeter. And again, you could make that, like if you want to do it X distance, your husband wants to do it X distance, your son wants to do it X distance, totally fine. No problem with that, obviously, right? But like you were saying, now we need to define, so we've defined what okay is, now we need to define what come is, right? So come can mean basically, well, it means one thing, but it can look like two things, right? So come can be, if we're stationary and I say come, just coming to me and stabilizing next to me. That does not mean sit down, this, that. That just means come to me and be in my space and don't leave my space until I tell you okay, right?
Yep.
Or it can mean if I'm hiking with my dogs, this is what it looks like.
Down.
This is what it looks like with me. If I'm walking with my dogs and we're hiking and they're off and I tell them come, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna expect that they come into my space still and stay in my space, but because I'm moving, it would look more like a heel. Right? Until I tell them okay again, right? And I would say everybody and their mother is guilty of I think what you said your husband does, which is like they call them and the dog just kind of gets them and just blows right off again kind of thing. Listen, I'm even guilty of that sometimes, so I get it. You just want to try to maintain the integrity of that command, right? Because if you allow that to happen too much, your come command will just completely deteriorate over time.
That's exactly what I was telling him. I'm like, you're not even,
yes.
I don't think we're even, you're not using it right.
Sure.
He's like, oh,
yeah. And again, listen, you know, how much is he hurting? Probably not that much, right? You just have to define those two things, right? This is what it should look like in this moment, right? And here's the thing, right? If I'm in a situation where I just don't feel like completely enforcing a come command because I'm being lazy or whatever, then I just don't use the come command, I'll use their name, right? So say I want to just see if they're checking in with me or not. Another thing I'll do sometimes is like name recognition exercises. So I'll be walking, dogs are up there, and I'll say, Vinny, right? And I expect that he checks in with me when I say that, right? If he doesn't check in with me, I'll give a correction for not checking in with me. And this is where I've created like a gray thing kind of.
Right.
All I expect is a half a second check-in, and then you go do whatever the heck you want to do after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll kind of use stuff like that sometimes as well, where it's like an informal check-in, you know, and kind of break some of my rules about like technically speaking, you know, he should look at me until I say okay, right? But like, you get into like, this is just practical, you know?
Hard.
Yeah.
And so then I tell him, you know, okay. He goes running off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm over here, he's back there, and I'm like, COME, and then initially now, should we have should we have him physically sit and then...
Don't worry about a sit. Come has nothing to do with sit. Yeah.
Stay here.
Yeah, yes, yeah. You know, to reset this, I would do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
again. And then, and just keep practicing that. Once we get that down, then if we're... Because one of the things that I noticed is that, like, when he gets the come command, he'll come. He won't come in our bubble though.
Yep.
And that's what I keep saying. Like, that's what come means.
Yes.
It means walk with me, stay in my bubble. And if he's not even checking into the bubble, then what does the command mean? It's not gonna mean anything.
You're correct. Yeah. So yes, we have to maintain the criteria of come means come to me and stay with me until you're released.
Yeah.
Whether I'm stationary or whether I'm moving. Yes.
Yeah. Now, if he blows by me when, you know, I'm walking, he's behind and he's like, oh yeah, I'm right here, and then he darts off, do I say it again? And if he doesn't do what's needed, then give him a correction, or give him a correction when he blows by me?
What's the rule with our corrections?
Well, right now, because we're all doing it different, we haven't been giving a correction.
Understood.
Right?
Understood.
Yeah, that's not fair to him.
Well, well, here's the thing. You're correct. Currently, the way it is, it's confusing. But the rule with our corrections is we give our command one time. If our dog doesn't respond to it, we give a correction, right? So yes, hypothetically, in that situation, we tell him come. He comes to us. He blows off before we tell him okay. We would say no, correct, come.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So, and you just got to get back to it again. Like, we get plenty of dogs that come in that do a follow-up like 2 years post-training or something like that, you know, and they come in and like, the dog looks good, but like it's kind of loose. We say bed 3 times before the dog gets on it. We say down twice before they get into it, et cetera, et cetera. And we just spend the whole session like going back to one time, correction right after it if they don't do it. And usually the first half of the session, the dog's like, what the hell? I'm not used to this, you know, and then they get right back in the groove and everything is like 10 times better after that. So just spend a couple days just being really consistent about that. Even with, I saw you a couple of times with your downs, you like repeated down commands and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, lately he's been like just not paying attention to that.
But it's, and I know everybody's kind of being inconsistent right now, which is contributing to this, but it's because we're not providing the correction at the right time, which is teaching him to, if he knows he can get away with, even right there when he broke that down state and you just told him down and like helped him back into it, like that should have been a correction there. And if he knows that correction is going to come if he breaks that position, no matter what, he'll pay attention, right? Because right now he can get away with being a little loose because it's like, she'll remind me again, you know, it's not a big deal. So that's kind of some of it as well.
I agree.
So.
You're so whiny.
So that's come command stuff. So let's do this. We got here. Perfect. We got a little bit of time. Let's. Yeah, why don't you grab that real quick here, and we're just going to work some commands and stuff, and I want to kind of see your timing with things and see if we can tighten any of that up.
Yeah, and I told my husband he's going out of town for a week.
No problem.
Tomorrow, and so what Leo and I are going to do is like
get things back under control.
Yes.
I like it.
Yep.
All right, well, why don't you grab his leash here? We're going to work a couple down stays here. Now, 2 things. 1, give your down command 1 time. If he doesn't do it, we're correcting for it. 2, try to eliminate some of your help you were giving. So I saw you were kind of doing some like downs, like gesturing, stuff like that. Try to keep it just verbal right now.
Oh, he's...
Yeah. He's like, are you sure?
Down.
Perfect.
Go.
Okay, so that was good. I'm glad he did that. Just downs right now, though. Don't worry about come commands or anything.
Down. So then what do I tell him to come back over to me then?
You should go get him, right? So like say he was in a down and you walked away. Let me do it real quick. Okay, come on, bud. So I'd take him somewhere here. Leo, down. Good, right? Leave him there, walk around. And then whenever we want to release him, we'd go back, pick up that leash, make sure he's stable. Okay, then release him with okay. So just do a couple of those. I would agree. I would agree.
Okay. Down.
Okay, so one other detail here. So that last rep, what you did is you went back and you did this. Okay. You picked up and said okay at the same time. Down. What I want you to do, good. Anytime you're working commands on the leash with him is when you go back, pick up your leash first, then wait a couple seconds, because what's gonna happen is if you do the okay too much, he starts getting up when you pick up the leash. And we wanna separate. Leash picking up means nothing. Okay, the release is actually what releases you.
Okay. The other down. The other thing is him going potty, and I don't know if this is anything that we can. He takes forever out there, and of course, again, 3 of us all using. I use only this leash and only let him have a certain area. But like we can't just go out, and it takes forever for us to find our spot, especially if we have to poop. I mean, it takes forever.
Do you walk him? Do you have a yard you take him into?
No, we do take him on walks.
For it? Okay.
If he's got to go and it's not a walk time, then he's going outside.
So here's how you speed that up, right? Because we see a lot of people fall into that trap as well. Okay, and it's because we're kind of making it somewhat optional as far as pick your spot, you know? So let's say we want him to go faster, and right in front of the house, there's like one small little patch, like right there, right? What we do is we take him out, we walk him to that patch. Okay, we give him just this area, give him like 3 to 4 minutes, tops. If he does not go, we're going back inside.
Okay.
Right? And then we try again in 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is, right? And what will wind up happening is he'll realize I only have X amount of time to go. I probably should just go.
Yeah.
You know? We do that with puppies all the time. And that's why we tell people with puppies, take the dog to the same spot on leash every time, give them just a couple minutes, then take them back in if they go. Because you teach them real early on, like this is your spot, right?
Yeah.
Just go.
And I thought we were doing that, but it just doesn't.
And again, over time, you know, we start getting looser with it where it's like, well, you know, we'll walk a little more. Or if it's nice out, it's like, we'll go for a little stroll and try again later and stuff like that, you know? And it's harder with adult dogs, especially, just like we saw with a car, like this stuff gets patterned in so easily. It's like it just dilly-dally, you know? The other side of things is if it's taking him that long, right, he probably doesn't need to go that bad. He probably needs to go, but not that bad from the standpoint of so like if you wait, let's say your evening potty break is like 6 o'clock, right? And it takes him 15 minutes to find a spot to go. Start taking him out at 6:30 instead, right? Where you know he's got to go a little bit more, which will speed that up as well.
Yeah. Come. Okay.
Leo, come here, buddy. Leo, come on, let's go.
Leo, come.
Very good. Let's try one more.
Okay.
Leo, come here. Come on, buddy.
Leo, come.
Perfect. A lot of this right now is not, I mean, obviously he knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
He looks really good. This is just a matter of you starting to just clarify some of this stuff in your head a little bit, you know, as far as what these individual commands mean. And again, getting back to, as you're doing training sessions and stuff with them, only work on what you need to work on, you know? Let's try another come command here.
Leo, come.
Perfect.
Sit
And then as far as the car stuff, I would really like to see you get past that, obviously. Spend, the next week really drilling that and just try to really adopt that mentality. We know he can do it. He did it a bunch of times, right? So he's just got to get in. And like I said, find something a little bit shorter to pattern it and then just start doing it,
He needs to build his confidence.
That is accurate. So, but I think he looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not seeing any big issues with him, obviously.
Yeah.
So. And hey, look at that. I like it. All right, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.